New concepts and ideas to help you reach your full potential. Reach your full potential. Reach your full potential. Small win, small win, small win. Keep your momentum going.
The Success 101 Podcast.
Welcome to the Success 101 Podcast. This is your host, Jarrod Warren, and each episode, my goal is to bring you a new concept or idea to help you maximize your full potential. Thanks for joining me here today. Now let's kick things off. Hey guys, welcome back to the Success 101 Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jarrod Warren, joined by my co-pilot here, Emilio Palafox. Emilio, how's it going out there, buddy?
It's going fantastic as always, brother.
Man, we have got a great show to dive into for the listeners here today. I've been getting a ton of comments from people about mitochondria, about ATP, about really just the brain of the cell and the way that the cells create energy through ATP. I think more and more people are wanting to hear about that, which anything that leads toward peak performance, as you guys know, is going to fire me up. Emilio, I know you've done a ton of study on this, and I know we're just going to have a ton to dive into today. Before I start that, though, I wanted to tell you guys about this new device that I got yesterday from a company called Remarkable. Emilio, have you seen this new Remarkable tablet out there?
I'm not sure. It kind of sounds familiar, but I don't think so, though.
So they created this new tablet, and it's about the size of, not the new iPad, the big giant one, but about the size of it's about the size of a sheet of paper, honestly. And it's got a new technology on it. The new screen on it literally feels like paper whenever I'm writing on it with a stylus. And so what you do is it's basically like an electronic piece of paper. So I can hold up to about 8 gigs of memory on this thing. So as I'm out traveling around, as I'm writing down thoughts and ideas in meetings, as I'm just going about my day, I can either upload PDFs onto this thing, or I can write things down with the pencil that they give you, and I can send that out to people. But it's a truly remarkable, not to even use the name, didn't even intend to use the name there, but it's called Remarkable. But it's truly a remarkable invention as to how we can become a lot less paper-filled in our life, become a lot more minimal. And for those of you out there who are doing any journaling, especially gratitude journaling, or writing down things in meetings, or you just want to really break away from the computer, this is a pretty awesome device. So more to come. I ordered it back in the last part of January or February and just got it yesterday. So it's like hot off the press. So Emilio, let's go ahead and dive into this. I know a lot of people have heard about mitochondria. Like I said, a lot of people are writing in wanting to talk more about mitochondria. And if you're going to have a podcast about peak performance, I know you've done a lot of study around this, not just the mitochondria, but other things as well. Why don't you kick us off and take us down this path of what you know about at a cellular level, what's going on in our bodies, and how we can use that for peak performance?
Yeah, man, that's actually a great topic. And, constantly learning, man, constantly emptying my cup so that I can fill it up, having that beginner's mind. When I continue to do my research on mitochondria and everything at the cellular level, we're hearing stuff about, we talked about breathing and oxygen advantage and cold training and, neurofeedback and PEMF and photobiomodulation with red light and infrared light stuff, everything kind of at the cellular level, methylene blue, things that we talked about, things that are helping the mitochondria, right? The power plants of our cells. When you want to think about us as a whole, because I've been on the PEM side of a lot of things, so I'm looking at a lot of chronic disease and things of that nature and talking to doctors and getting more information. What it seems to be is that the key to making chronic disease better is making a single cell work. So on the topic of cells, if you give the body the things a single cell needs to work, the body often has the power to heal all the cells of the body, meaning you get well. We were talking earlier about how a cell is of course made up of a cell membrane and the inside, which is called the cytoplasm. Now, the cell membrane, for those of you who don't know, is made up of fats. So for those that are still thinking fats are bad for you, after the 30, 50 plus years of, us getting lied to, those are more of the plastic fats, right? The hydrogenated fats, not the good, healthy fats that we're talking about that really are good for your hormones, that are good for your brain signaling, all this good stuff that really make you fired up, feeling good, energized, and really feed your brain. But not only your skeletal brain here at the top, but also the cells' brains. So the cell membrane is made up of fats, and it controls the cell and is also considered, like I said, the brain of the cell. So this means that you need a lot of those proper fats to make those cell membranes. We're about 20%, I believe, is the percentage that your body is fat. So if you weighed, let's say, 200 pounds, you need 40 pounds of fat to be healthy, kind of in a cellular topic. we can get into detail. Like for instance, since your cells replace themselves on an average of about, I think it's about 7 or 8 weeks. I think it's 8 weeks. You would need to absorb about 5 pounds of fat per week to stay healthy. Just kind of a crazy statistic there. But we talk about the cell membrane. There's also the cytoplasm, which is made up of proteins assembled from amino acids. So the way that I think about it is a protein would be like a combination of Lego blocks. And each of those Lego blocks are amino acids that build up that protein. And so there are 8 amino acids that the body can make, 10 in children, really. And thus they're called essential amino acids. So you must eat enough protein and have enough stomach acid. That's another big topic, to break down these proteins into amino acids, those smaller Lego blocks, to fill this need. When you think about, kind of continuing the conversation of the cell and how it's built and stuff, well, to be used, the proteins and fats that we eat need vitamins and minerals. Well, to date, when you look at chronic disease as a whole, every person who has a chronic disease, they're mineral deficient, and most are vitamin deficient as well. And so when you think about, okay, well, what do the cells need to be healthy? Water with voltage, which is basically alkaline water. And so every time I get a chance, as I have my PEMP unit at home and demo with this, I always try to charge my water any chance I get so that I have alkaline water all the time. Second thing would be fats. Big thing, guys, fats. If you're not eating fats, get those healthy fats in you. Those are the ones that make the cell membranes. The third thing would be amino acids, which make the cytoplasm. So the amino acids are what make the cytoplasm, the machinery inside the cells. Fourth would be vitamins. Again, a lot of people who have chronic disease and whatnot, and this is not necessarily just on the chronic disease standpoint. This is about high performance, right? So if we want to have cellular optimal foundation, these would be basically the same thing, and adding it more into our lives more consistently so we can achieve that greater sense of a high performance, that human upgrade. Another thing, when we talked about minerals are what make the fats and proteins work as well, but also as an on and off switch, and to keep your pH in the operating range. And so in other podcasts, we talked about pH kind of on a healthy person is about 7.35 to 7.45. And that would be kind of equivalent on a voltage standpoint of a voltage level where our cells are designed to operate at about 20 to 25 millivolts, really negative 20 to negative 25 millivolts. And so the minerals, again, make the fats and proteins work as on and off switches, and to keep your pH in the operating range that I mentioned. The next thing, I think we're at number 6 here, would be oxygen. We talked about oxygen a lot in the past. Oxygen is extremely important. And so getting that really helps the cells as well. PEMP, of course, because I love this, and that's one of the big biohacks that I do. It's a big oxygenator. And so that's kind of another reason as to why I like that. 7, of course, is sunshine, guys. If you guys aren't doing the morning routines where you're, going in the morning, stepping on the grass or the sand or what have you to get charged and just to soak in, do some sun gazing, get the vitamin D. Sunshine is greatly important for the cell to be healthy. Last but not least, back to the voltage, which is the same as pH essentially. The body must have a voltage to function. So we're just like batteries. Our cells have batteries, and they can't be at 2%. You charge your phone every night. Why aren't you charging yourself? And so the body must have voltage to function. The same as saying if you have an alkaline pH, like I said, to get voltage in the body are 4 things: mineral water, raw fruits and veggies, exercise, and grounding. But PEMF would be the 5th one, and really at a more efficient and effective level. If you have some pain, chronic disease, or just want to perform optimally, better performance, then of course do those. Those should be consistent, in general. We're always trying to do something better, right? So PEMF and other things are a more efficient and effective way of getting there faster. But I think it gives a good insight in terms of like what we're doing on a normal basis in terms of nutrition, and how that relates to cells and the healthiness and the health of that cell and of those cells.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to recap these again. You had mentioned water with voltage, fats, amino acids for the cytoplasm, vitamins, minerals, oxygen, sun, and then voltage, which you're kind of referring to the PEMF. And go over the 3 or 4 that you mentioned as far as how to get voltage into your body naturally. You mentioned vegetables. You mentioned voltage in the water, like alkaline water.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about just voltage to charge your cells, there's 4 main things right now. Just, the way that you charge your cells to get that voltage, the 4 main ones are mineral water, exercise, sunshine, charge your cells, and then raw fruits and veggies, charge your cells.
For a lot of you guys that are writing in, this stuff is so valuable. And I think a lot of times, Emilio, we miss what's going on at a cellular level because we're so focused on everything that we can see. And the same with oxygen. You don't really see the breathing, what's going on inside your body. I think a lot of times we're focused so much on these different things we can see, and some of them are great, but if you don't get down to a cellular level, you could still be sabotaging yourself and really not helping yourself. So a lot of the questions had come in, or a lot of people had written in about mitochondria, and a lot of people might even wonder like what they are. Like we've heard about them back in junior high science class or whatever, mitochondria, but it's like, well, what is that really? So a lot of endurance athletes, they really focus on this, but those are the microscopic entities, the organelles inside of your muscle that are the mitochondria. And that's critical to your training, your peak performance, your lifestyle, your longevity, any of that. Whether you're an Olympic athlete or you're just somebody that's just trying to rock it out each day, proper care and feeding of these mitochondria is absolutely crucial. And so I've really enjoyed fielding some questions from people as they wrote in. And what I want to do, and love to piggyback back and forth on this, Emilio, is the mitochondria, they are referred to, as we've talked about before, as the powerhouse of the cell. And so what I want you guys to think about is just the ingredients or the makeup, for lack of better words, of the energy product that makes your heart beat, makes your muscles perform. Some of the things Emilio was just talking about with the voltage as well. And the main thing is glucose, and that's in the form of sugar found in our bloodstream. But it's packaged inside of this mitochondria and in two key components, but the main one is NADH. And what's happening there, ATP, we've talked about before. ATP is this little chemical that's essentially, it's very essential for the energy current, Krebs cycle, those sort of things, the way your cells turn over, the way they produce energy. So when we get to ATP and we start looking at how does ATP function, there's so much more that we could go into this, but just know this, guys, the production of your energy for your working muscles, for your body, for your brain especially, is extremely complex. That's why you can't get there by just winging it, but it can be boiled down pretty simply if we just want to put it in layman's terms. And if you look at the simple ingredients of sugar, oxygen, as you mentioned, and calcium. So sugar supplies the basic building blocks. Remember that NADH that I mentioned? Mitochondria are going to use that in ATP in the presence of oxygen.
Absolutely.
So the whole process is called the oxidative process. Calcium is essential for the transformation of glucose into NADH, as well as the interaction of a lot of the stuff that's going on inside the mitochondria that we don't have time to get to today. So some people may be a little bit thrown off by that by saying, well, wait a minute, if sugar is extremely important for our recipe for energy, why do so many people say stay away from sugar? It's the processed sugars. It's the overconsumption of sugar that's killing us out there. Your body has to have some of that, though, including natural sugars like found in fruits and vegetables and things like that to do what it needs to do, but then also the presence of oxygen. So your working muscles, they're going to use that glucose to produce ATP in a 13 times higher rate with a presence of oxygen than when oxygen is not readily available. And what it's also going to do is it's going to take the biochemistry or the workings inside of that mitochondria and basically use all of that to produce more energy for you.
Yeah, ATP is huge. And for those, of you, since we're talking about voltage, one thing that I know when it comes to voltage, if you're not doing those four main things of whether it be sunshine, mineral water, exercising, or grounding outside. And, Frank, it's just surprising. Sometimes I'm even talking to my friends and I'll mention 2 or 3 of those and they don't do them because they're at work. They're just going through the motions and they're like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Or maybe I did it once a week, whatever. But it is crucial, guys. And, it's one of those things, death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's like, okay, you got 1 paper cut, then 2, then you're at 300. The next thing you know, your voltage is dropping. You're feeling tired. You're feeling sick. You're not operating at high performance anymore. You're a little bit below that. And so what happens is that when your voltage drops before 20 millivolts, which is kind of what our cells are designed to operate at, 20 to 25, when you drop below that, we get chronic pain. In addition, the oxygen levels drop. We're talking about oxygens. Oxygen levels drop since they're controlled by the voltage level. Now, when the oxygen levels drop, your metabolism changes to where we're only getting 2 molecules of ATP instead of 38 molecules per unit of fat processed. So what's happening here is that your cells struggle to function when they're only getting 2 miles per the gallon. In addition, the trillion or so bugs that we have in our bodies wake up when oxygen levels drop, and they begin to have lunch by putting out enzymes that dissolve our cells throughout our bodies. And these enzymes basically enter into our blood and damage cells all over our body. And that's why they talk about kind of chronic disease, chronic pain, or what have you, is always defined by low voltage. So ATP is important. I'm glad that we're talking about that. And so is voltage when you come, when we're kind of drawing a parallel here.
So I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of people just kind of move through their day and it's like, oh yeah, I should probably be more in tune to that or more, in mind of that, but they're just not. And so what I want you guys to do is really be more mindful of how you're treating yourself at the cellular level. And the way you do that is by helping your mitochondria production or mitochondria performance. It can't do all the work on its own. And in our Western culture today, we know, guys, that we're not breathing the right way. We're not eating the right way. We're not thinking the right way. We've got a lot of negative self-sabotage, especially in the brain. So here are just some really simple things you guys can do to optimize this process and make the best of your day. If you're just a regular individual, like I said, trying to take it to the next level, or an athlete where you're trying to get ready for a race or whatever it is that you're doing, the first thing I would tell you guys, if you are training, though, is to train smart. I'm reading more and more and hearing more and more about people overtraining. Mark Sesson talks a lot about this. Ben Greenfield started talking a lot more about this, how they have literally taken years off of their life with these high, long, prolonged endurance training activities that they're doing, and overtraining without the appropriate recovery, whether that be voltage or rest or whatever it is you want to use, that's going to damage your muscle cells and that intracellular machinery that we're working with there, including down at a cellular level. I want you guys to create training programs and hire a coach if you're not in the know, especially even something like ultra marathons or Ironman or triathlons or anything. If you guys catch yourself doing those, I've got a buddy right now whose goal last year was to do a triathlon every single month. And I think he accomplished it. I think he got it done. And he was going to try to do even more this year. And so I had to start talking to him about overtraining and how that's likely taking some years off of his life. But train smart, guys. Have proper recovery, have proper rest, have proper voltage, red light, infrared light, those sort of things going through your body to where you can heal and recover before you go out and hit it again. Second thing, and maybe this should have been first, is to stay hydrated. Optimal cellular function is dependent on really the right balance of water so that your transport systems, your cellular health can be optimal. Dehydration leads to really just messing up that process of an optimally run system. So just stay hydrated through the day. Fueling up is the third thing. We want to feed the mitochondria a steady diet of really the good things that you guys need. That's going to be the high quality, healthy fats, as Emilio mentioned. It's also going to be a little bit of the natural sugars in there, not too much, and especially not any of the processed sugars that are cancer causing and can really run your system down, but a well-balanced diet of high quality recovery foods out there to really boost that glycogen, to really boost up some of that sugar supply that you need on the healthy spectrum, and then giving your muscles and mitochondria the protein, the good, again, that some of that's going to come from the fat as well, the good high quality with low glycemic index carbohydrates, high quality fats. Make sure your protein intake is adequate and high quality. Your fat intake is adequate. And then a constant supply of oxygen, as we mentioned earlier. So mitochondria cannot, and I know you can speak to this as well, Emilio, mitochondria cannot function in an anaerobic environment. We want to get a really good constant oxygen supply of the right kind of air and breathe that in the right way. And then lastly, it's electrolytes. We want to make sure that calcium is integrated into that biochemical process. Calcium doesn't exist and function in isolation. So calcium's ability and function is really tied to the levels of other electrolytes that you guys should be getting, like potassium, especially magnesium. We're all, especially as guys, deficient of magnesium. So I try to take plenty of good quality magnesium each night. At the end of the day, your mitochondria, guys, just to sum it up here, is they're just the key energy sources for your bodies. And there's these tiny little factories that are housed within each cell that take the food we eat, the oxygen we breathe, even the toxins on a bad level, the toxins we take in, and they try to process all of that. And if we're not doing this the right way and not getting in the right things that we should be, we're really damaging ourselves at a cellular level. And then we're wondering why we're in brain fog, why we can't perform, why we can't think straight, why we're aging faster. And it's all because we haven't taken a big step back and go, okay, wait a minute. If my body's made up of these trillions of cells, and those are the energy makers of my body, including my brain, why am I not paying attention to that? Why am I looking at so many other things out there to try to figure out why I'm not performing well or thinking well throughout the day or aging faster? We've got to look at it at a cellular level.
Absolutely. And I mean, well done putting all that together. And to kind of, not paraphrase, but just a statement that I just want to make is that if you take care of your mitochondria, they'll take care of you. And of course, the better you build them, the better they will build you. If you take care of them, they will strengthen you. They will take care of you.
I've long said before that fatigue is one of the most common symptoms of poorly functioning mitochondria. We always search for all these different reasons why we're fatigued. I feel like I got enough sleep last night. I feel like I'm eating the right way. Why am I so fatigued? It's likely something else that's happening. And fatigue is the most common symptom of a poorly functioning mitochondria. So I highlighted some of the good things that we can do to help build mitochondria. Let's talk here for just a second about the biggest stressor of your mitochondria. I'd mentioned toxins as well, but most of it is oxidative stress that we've talked about before. So what is oxidative stress? That's just like the best way I've heard it used before in the medical community is just like the rust on our cars. So like that brown color that appears on our cars, or like an apple, that brown on our cars or on our fruit, or, whatever that is, even the wrinkles on our skin that start to come, picture all of that as oxidative stress. And what most of us don't realize is that our own tissues are quote unquote rusting. Our fats are really going bad. Our brains are just really turning into that brown apple that you see. And so this process starts through many things, but it's toxins and it's oxidative stress is the biggest thing. So smoking, too many sunburns, too many anti-nutrient foods that we're eating, too much processed sugar, all of that can lead to this tipping point and a chain reaction to where cells are damaged, tissues are damaged, and that sends us down to whether, fill in the blank, weight gain, chronic illness, depression, whatever you want to fill in there. So as you said, if we take care of our mitochondria, they're going to take care of us. So here are just a couple of other things that I want to mention to you guys. I talked about some of the things before, if you're performing, things like that. Here are just kind of some everyday things that you want to do. We want to give our mitochondria the right environment to thrive in. I know Dave Asprey's book, Headstrong, talked a lot about that. And guys, this isn't rocket science. It's eating less processed food, less junk food, less processed sugar, less empty calories. Really, you should be avoiding those things altogether. But we also want to detoxify our body by getting rid of those environmental and internal toxins, whether it be cleaning supplies, mold, anything you're coming in contact with that could really be harming you. And then lastly, the inflammation in our body that's caused through this oxidative stress. Stress is neither good nor bad. We talked about that last time. It's neither good nor bad. It's just how your response is to it that makes it good or bad. However, when you stay in negative stress for too long, that's that oxidative stress that we're talking about. It causes your brains, your tissues, your cells, especially the mitochondria, to start rusting, where you just start breaking down. The second thing I want you guys to do when it comes to the performance levels I mentioned earlier is just get moving. I've got a stand-up desk here in my office, as I said, where I move all throughout the day. But just remember, your mitochondria, ATP, energy production, all of that becomes more robust the more you engage your muscles and the more you move throughout the day. Emilio, you mentioned it a second ago. You said vegetables, minerals, vitamins. I've got a list here. This is not an all-encompassing list. This is just to help you guys get started. But I want you guys to start incorporating the following nutrients into your daily regimen. By including these, you're going to help support your mitochondria and boost energy. So we've talked before about acetyl L-carnitine. Oh, yeah. That's a huge one for mitochondrial support. Alpha-lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, which I take every day. NADH, as I mentioned earlier, D-ribose, resveratrol, which you can also take grapeseed extract like I take each day after reading it in the Headstrong book, and then magnesium. I would take that at night, probably anywhere between 60 to 30 minutes before you go to sleep, but take a really high quality magnesium to where it crosses the blood-brain barrier. Magnesium L-threonate is probably the best one for that. And then just other little things, guys, like increasing your omega-3 fats out there. Be sure to include things like salmon, other types of fish, hemp seeds, flax seeds, egg yolks especially. And if you take care of your mitochondria, as Emilio said earlier, it's going to take care of you. You're going to learn faster. You're going to learn smarter. You're going to help prevent aging. You're going to help prevent negativity or getting into a slump. You're going to increase your energy for sure, but you're just not going to let that oxidative stress build up on you like the rust on a car or the brown fruit or the brown part of a fruit after it's bitten into. You're just going to thrive happier and healthier for longer.
Absolutely, man. Well put, man. You can start small, like everything that we listed here, everything that you listed there. Let's go get all that stuff. Let's pick your favorite brands. And then let's build that morning routine. Let's build that night routine. And let's build the efficient breaks within your day that incorporate these things, finalize it, and make it unique to you, but something simple and sustainable. Gather all the stuff we're talking about. Make a simple plan. A simple, sustainable plan so that you can get 1% better every day. Not this roller coaster that a lot of people are used to. Like, oh, now it's time for New Year's resolutions. It's like, I don't have any New Year's resolutions. It's like, I'm just getting better, 1% better every day. That's what these podcasts are about, right? How can you get 1% better, if not more, every single week when you hear our podcasts? This is so true. So like make the list, go do it, take one day to do it all, and then just practice it every day. And if you slip up, it's fine. Don't be hard on yourself. Just say, oh, look, there's me doing it again or whatever. And little by little by little, you'll solidify that routine. And the next thing you know, you are what you repeatedly do, and you'll know that you're a high performance individual. And the last thing that I will say here is that, you mentioned some wonderful things. We've talked about this in the past, but I think it would be even something greater to kind of add here in terms of an additional. So people that may be on our level or even whatever level you're at, we've talked about hydrogen before. And so when we talk about mitochondria and enhancing ourselves, hydrogen, again, man, there's about 500 medical studies available on the health benefits of molecular hydrogen, really. And when you talk about, oxidative stress, this is another one of those things that primarily helps by reducing oxidative stress, which is, again, one of the major causes, really, of most lifestyle-related illnesses, cancers, aging process, and also, of course, for high performance. And for those people that don't know, go check out our episode where we talk about molecular hydrogen, but a kind of like a teaser into that is that, look, hydrogen is the smallest and lightest of all elements. Basically, when two hydrogen atoms combine, H2, which is molecular hydrogen, is formed. It has better cellular bioavailability than most nutrients. It helps the ability to rapidly enter into organs, cells, mitochondria, and fluids, which allows the H2 to provide its numerous health benefits pretty much instantly. So if you guys aren't taking a molecular hydrogen supplement, try one out. I know I've experienced with Honey Colony in a quarterly biohacking box, but recently I met Sarah. I don't know if she's an owner or co-owner of Vital Reaction, but they were at the Bulletproof Biohacking Conference. I know I believe Dr. Joseph Mercola and or other key speakers talked about Vital Reaction, and I had the pleasure of meeting Sarah offline and online at the conference. And I'll just say there's a potential partnership with Pulse Centers PEMF and Vital Reaction. We
potentially.
Yeah.
Come on, tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
And so, I think those would be really great synergistically together. And so, Sarah, if you're looking to this, if you're listening to this, I'll be getting with you shortly to discuss maybe some possibilities there. I know we talked about at the conference, something that are, both are doing some fantastic things for the body and the mitochondria and the cells, since we're on this topic, and something that, where we can potentially talk about more so in our high performance journey.
That's so awesome, man. I always love ideas like this where we can really take actionable steps to our listeners, and especially whenever they've been commenting in so much about different things as it results in mitochondria performance, energy performance, all of that. And that's what we're here for. And I want you guys to continue to write in. We love whenever we get comments from you. It helps us to really know what you want, what the people want, what we can frame this show around. And that's what we want to give you guys, and not just sit behind a mic and throw out ideas of our own. That's great sometimes, but we really want to take it to you guys. So if you have comments, thoughts, ideas, anything from you or others that you think might be great tools for hitting higher levels of peak performance, please do not hesitate to send that our way. You can reach Emilio at emilio@crossphoenixcoaching.com, or you can reach me by shooting an email to info@success101podcast.com. And man, had a great time today, Emilio. I love episodes like this and look forward to getting this out to the people.
Oh man, likewise, man. What a great energy. And just, I love doing this as well, man. Anytime we can help, people listening, and then spreading that like wildfire, I'm there. I love it.
Tune into the next awesome episode. We'll catch you until then, and keep rocking out to higher levels of peak performance. And we love hearing from you guys, so keep sending your messages.